Alright, today I'm going over Manjaro. So in case you're familiar, Manjaro is a Linux distribution based on Arch. And it's basically designed to take Arch, which is designed for expert Linux users, and make it basically beginner friendly to create an easy starting point for people just getting into the Arch branch. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so now the website is manjaro.org. And then once you're there, you just click Try Manjaro, and if you wait a little bit, it'll actually change to download. And then that'll take you straight to the download page, and I'll have this page linked in the description. But anyway, there's actually 3 editions. The XFCE edition, which uses the XFCE desktop environment, and the KDE edition, which uses the KDE desktop environment, and there's also the GNOME edition that uses the GNOME desktop environment. And actually, I forgot that there's another edition called the Architect edition, which is basically a command line version of it, at least as far as I know. Now, if you're not sure which one to pick, I would go with the GNOME edition, since the GNOME desktop environment I find is the most beginner friendly. However, I'm going to go with the KDE Plasma edition because right now KDE Plasma is my desktop environment of choice. So I'm going to go download that, and then whichever one you pick, it'll bring you to its download page, and then you just click download. And then you just click great, take me to the download. And then the download should start automatically. Now you may need to click OK. Now I'm going to click cancel because I've already downloaded the file. I've got it right here in my VMware folder. So now I'm going to go pop into VMware, boot up this VM that I've pre-created, and then you're going to want to make sure that your Manjaro ISO is plugged in, and then you would go boot to your Manjaro ISO. Now it'll give you a few options, which is boot with open source drivers and boot with proprietary drivers. I actually find it better to boot with the open source drivers. However, if those don't work for you, you can then try booting with the proprietary drivers, but I'm just going to boot with the open source drivers, and then it should bring us into the Manjaro installer. Alright, then it'll actually bring you to this hello screen, and also give you an opportunity to try out Manjaro before you install it. However, in my case, I just want to launch the installer, and I can actually close that out. Let's actually full screen this, because that's where all the action is going to be happening. And then I'm going to select my language, and then it'll ask me to set my time zone. New York is good for me, and click next. And then I'll just use the English US keyboard. And then if you wanted to dual boot, you do manual partitioning and then resize your partitions manually. However, I'm going to erase the disk since there's nothing on this disk, and I'm just going to choose to swap to a file. Then click next, and then I'm just going to type my name here, and then for my username I usually just do Drew, and I'm going to call this computer something simple like Manjaro, and then I'm going to go punch in a password real quick. And you know what, I can use that same password for the administrator account, which I assume is the root user. I usually give it a much longer and stronger password. However, for the purposes of this video, using the same password works fine, since I'm going to be deleting this virtual machine right after I'm done. But anyway, I'm going to click next, and then for an Office suite, I'm going to tell you the difference. Both are free as in no cost, but I'd actually prefer LibreOffice since 1, that's the Office suite I'm used to, and 2, it's also open source, which if you've been using Linux for a while, you may appreciate. But anyway, I'm going to click next, and if you're not sure which one to pick, I'd pick LibreOffice, and then it'll give me a summary of my installation settings, and then I'm going to click install now, and then it'll go install Manjaro. So now this will take a while, so I'll speed this up. Alright, now this installation's done, and this installation went pretty quickly. I wish every Linux install was this quick, because that would make my job as a YouTuber so much easier. But anyway, I'm gonna go click restart now, and then click done, and then the system will restart. And then it'll boot us right into our Manjaro installation. Alright, now I'm just gonna log in. Now, of course, if you're using another edition of Manjaro, say for example you're running the GNOME edition, this'll all look differently. But anyway, it opens up this hello screen. This time the install now has been replaced with the applications. But then it gives us access to the documentation support and about the project, and also where to install applications. I'm gonna choose not to launch this at start because that's just annoying. and I'm gonna close out of it. And now first order of business, I'm gonna go open up console, which is what KDE calls its terminal. And then I'm gonna go install VMware tools real quick. I believe the package manager for this is Pacman. S open. So that's one thing to get used to when you're switching to an Arch-based distro. But anyway, I'm gonna go install VMware tools, or at least attempt to. And let's go proceed with the installation. Now let's actually see how to uninstall a package. So we have to do -H. Okay, so now -R removes an application, and then -S will install an application. Just something to get used to when switching to an Arch-based distro again. But anyway, I'm actually going to go into my system settings, since that didn't fix my scaling problem, and then go into the display configuration, and then change the resolution to 1360 by 768. That's close enough to my screen resolution. I'm going to try rebooting and see what happens. Okay, so now this hasn't fixed my scaling problem. Alright, so now that still hasn't fixed my scaling problem. I'm gonna go into system settings one more time, then try changing it again. You know what, I'm gonna go change it to nope. I'm not sure why this is refusing to scale up properly, so you're gonna have to watch through here, and I apologize that I cannot present a great user experience for you, but if you're doing this on a physical machine, this will scale up properly. But anyway, it's actually bugging me to do an update, so I'm gonna go do that right now. I'm gonna click apply, punch in my password, and then it'll go install updates. Oh, I'm gonna click apply. Now, the thing with Manjaro and Arch and every Arch-based distro is that they are rolling releases. So you never need to upgrade the system to a new version. As long as you keep it up to date, you'll always have the latest software, unlike distros like Ubuntu or Debian, where you have to upgrade your release every 2 years or so, depending on whether or not you use LTS releases. But anyway, I'll speed up this update. Alright, saying a restart is required for the changes to take effect, so I'm gonna go ahead and reboot. Alright, and it looks like that update fixed my scaling problem, so now I can actually present a good experience for you, which is good, because we're about to go take a look at the rest of the system. I'm gonna start off in the system settings before we go much farther, and this is actually the first time I've seen normal updates bring complete new features to the OS experience. Normally, with LTS releases, that would only be done with release upgrades. But anyway, I've never seen hardware configuration before. That's actually kind of new to me. Everything's put in a different place than I'm used to, but that's okay. I'm not sure what this nobody user is for. I'll have to take a look at that later. And this is my administrator account. You get all your standard settings here. And now, one feature that I really appreciate with KDE is its high customizability. We don't need to get too much into that in this video. However, I actually like the oxygen theme, so I'm going to change that. There we go. Get a bit old school. Yeah, actually, I'm going to change the plasma style to oxygen. There we go. That looks better. You know what? I'm going to change this to breath to dark. Here we go. I'm not going to spend too much time customizing this since, again, I'm going to be deleting this after this video. Wait, I actually want to go look at my icons real quick. You know what? Let me actually do the breeze dark icons. There we go. That actually looks better. And then for cursors, I'm actually going to want to change that. Okay, it actually just crashed on me. Let's actually go back into appearance. And for cursors, since I don't really like this default cursor, and this cursor just looks ugly in my opinion. Let's see what others are available. You know what, to be honest, I actually like the Adwaita cursor better. And then this will be applied with the simple reboot, or rather a login logout cycle. So let's actually go do that now. I'm gonna log out. Yes, go ahead, log out. And then I'm gonna log back in again. Ooh, new splash screen. Here we go. By the way, here's the system information. We're actually on KDE Plasma 5.21.2. And now let's actually go look at what applications we have available. I assume it would be the add remove tool. Kind of reminds me of old Ubuntu releases. And here we go. So what can I search for? So let me go search for something like GIMP, which is a very popular photo editor on Linux. In fact, I actually use that to make my thumbnails. And it's right there. We don't need to install it right now. And by the way, I actually want to search for Spotify. That's on here. Okay, it's not going to actually show Spotify, but it is on the Snap Store. So that would mean that you have to go into your terminal and then do a snap search to find snaps like Spotify, and then to install it you would do a sudo snap install Spotify, like so. But anyway, we don't need to install it. By the way, I'm gonna go change this wallpaper. It's not a bad wallpaper for a Linux distribution, but I'm gonna change it by going up to configure desktop and wallpaper. Let me get quite a few wallpapers here. Which one do I want? I actually like this one, so let's grab that. Ah, there we go. This actually matches perfectly with the theme, at least in my opinion. I don't know about you, though. But anyway, now let's actually look at our file manager, which is Dolphin, since we're on KDE. Yeah, pretty much what you'd expect from a file manager. And actually, I'm gonna go over LibreOffice, just in case you're unfamiliar. By the way, this is the Office suite that's pre-installed on most mainstream Linux distros like Ubuntu and Linux Mint. I actually don't want to see these tips on startup. And since this is a rolling release, we have the latest version of LibreOffice, which is 7.0.4.2 at the time of recording this video. And actually, one more feature of Manjaro is that it even has Steam pre-installed. So let's see how that works. Actually, I don't really like shortcuts on my desktop, so I'm actually gonna go move this to the trash and actually have this convenient little trash button right here where I can just go empty the trash. And there we go. It's actually not taking long, like it's pretty much halfway done. Actually more than halfway done in the time that you've been listening to my voice. Okay, and then after that, it's actually gonna go update Steam real quick. And I know this will take a while, so I'll speed this up. And believe it or not, the pre-installed Steam actually runs on this, unlike in my SteamOS video, which I made earlier, where it didn't run at all, in case you don't remember or haven't seen it. But anyway, I'm not actually gonna bother logging in. It's not like I can actually play a game. But anyway, let's actually look through the rest of the system. Ooh, Apple Image Launcher settings. I've never seen a Linux distro with something like that. This is actually pretty boring, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. And Manjaro comes with VLC Media Player pre-installed, and I'm assuming Kanta is Manjaro's music player. I'm going to do the basic single user setup. Music folder is my music folder. Yeah, I'll save the download covers into music folder and finish. And yes, this is the music player. And actually, one feature of this distro that I didn't know it had is this drop-down terminal. So how it works is I can just leave, it's called Yakuwake. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. Basically just open that up and then you can type something like sudo pacman-u and then punch in your password. What's the update command? Actually, I'm going to try pacman-s. I'll figure that out later. For now, I'm not sure how to update using pacman. That's actually one thing I appreciate about the apt package manager, is that it has a very simple syntax to just install, update, remove, etc. But anyway, I actually wonder if this is, okay, this is just the update manager. And by the way, we also do have virtual desktops here. So basically, let's say I have a file manager opened up here. I can also have, for example, Firefox open up here. And if you find you're like me and in practice you don't really use virtual desktops, I can already hear serious multitaskers screaming it in the comment section. But anyway, you can right click on it and then we can go edit the panel and then we just click remove. There we go. And then to add this back, we just go ahead and add a pager like this. And there we go. And the rest of it is pretty much what you would expect from a KDE based distro, since we're on the KDE edition anyway. So before I end off this video, I want to see how web browsing is on this by going to Firefox, and then let's go to a really cool channel right here. And let's actually go to this Linux disk space optimization video, which actually did surprisingly poorly for me. Like it's only got 15 views at the time of recording this video. Hopefully that improves in the future. Let's actually amp up this resolution. Let's pick a more interesting point in this video. Okay, then it says I can recover a little over half a gig. So unfortunately, streaming video with a VM is not very smooth, but I promise you, when you're actually streaming this, it'll actually play properly. But anyway, looks like we're done with this. So let's go ahead and shut this down. Click OK. And those were my first impressions of installing and using Manjaro. So thanks for watching. If you liked this video, found it interesting, hit the like button, share this video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment.